Hey, what's up, everyone? So I've been meaning to record this for a while, and I've been practicing doing the developer capture in Reality Composer Pro. Worked perfectly until I needed to capture this video right here, and now it is hard crashing my headset for some reason. So I'm still working on that. So I'm just have to record this in the headset as is. Uh, but let's go ahead and get started into it. So this app is currently called Stand and Fight. It's going to be a wave-based combat game where you're using your hands to fight enemies that are coming towards you. So pretty simple concept that I'm going to do some pretty cool stuff with, and we'll kind of dive into that in a bit later. What I've been mostly working on is just infrastructural changes. So I've been doing a lot of demo code and just doing a lot of experimentation, but that doesn't really make it so that the app cohesively flows from one state to another. So I've been doing a lot of things under the scenes, under the covers here, to make sure that the app actually works the way I expect it to, and that I can consistently move from one state of the app to the next. I've added in just some placeholder score screens. Again, something super simple. I've added some options here. These options are mainly for me when I'm debugging the application as I'm working on it. Some of these will make it into the main app, but there'll be a lot of other options that will be actually, player focused options. But this is a good system just to have in place so I can communicate from Swift UI setting options and having that being communicated into the game manager as it's initializing the systems. And forgive me, this is a one shot because I've run out of time to record the video. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, we're going to stand and fight. We're going to hit the start button. Then these are placeholder screens, so there's going to be an initialization. There's going to be a tutorial step, and again, these are just simple accept me's that are like, oh, okay, just click the button to move through to the next state. But each screen is representing a different state within the app in and of itself that will have a different, more interactive approach once the game is actually ready. This will be your welcome screen. It's like, hey, get ready, the waves are starting to come, that sort of thing. All right, so as we go ahead and get started, so this is one of the example levels that I've got, and I have my favorite enemies here, the UFOs. And essentially what ends up happening is that a portal opens up before you. There's going to be an environment within the portal in itself, and the enemies are going to spawn out of the portal and come into your environment. And at some point, they'll have behaviors where they'll essentially, basically be like, the bullet hell shooter and behaviors where they'll stop, they'll kind of circle in front of you, or they'll come towards you, and then go back into the screen, that sort of thing. So they'll come in and do different attacks. But the basic gameplay loop for this is planned to be essentially, again, the portal opens up, there's an environment within the portal, the enemies spawn out of that portal and come towards you, and you're having to defeat them to push them kind of back in. In this case, it's just simple punching that will be used to defeat the enemies. There will be different types of enemies, so some will have shields, they have to punch them multiple times, some will be fast, some will be slow, some will circle you. My current idea right now is to not have enemies attack from behind you, so essentially, you don't have to turn around, you don't have to do any rapid side-to-side movements. Essentially, they'll come towards you, they'll do their attack, and then they'll go, what would traditionally be off-screen in a bullet hell shooter. They'll just essentially go to the edge of the portals and kind of go back into it and kind of return to where they came, or recycle and come at you again. You'll have a certain amount of life. Once you're done with your life, the game is over and you kind of go back to the start screen. So in this case, this is the example city environment. It's a bit wide. I've been playing with the dimensions of the environments. I was going to do about a movie poster size, and I've got another environment. So right now it's random, but I've got another environment that's about a movie poster size, and I'm finding that that's a bit too narrow, whereas this one is just a tad bit too wide. What I have here is also, you can drag the portal around, as you can kind of see it drags the entire world with you. All the enemies respawn and kind of stay in the same spot. Eventually that will be behind a pause menu. So in this case, if you want to drag the portal, you would have to pause it and then you can move the portal around. You can also, if I can click the wall behind it, you can also anchor the portal to the wall. And while it's anchored to the wall, you can drag left and right, but you can't drag it forward. So it's anchored to this wall here, and you can move it up and down to make it sure that it's essentially at an appropriate height for you. The way I'm going to design is essentially the spawn points for the enemies will be relative to your height. So in this case, if you snap it, and that's one of the options that we saw. Actually, let's go back to it. If we go back to the options screen here and we say adjust portal player heads, turn that on, we'll go back into it, go through our intro screens here again. This is the other environment here. So this is Central Workshop. Instead, this one here is a bit too narrow, but I'm playing with a little bit some of the dynamic objects in there. So if you kind of notice is that the UFOs, once you actually hit them, they become dynamic. So they're basically just kinematic bodies. They're not even really physics bodies, but they're kind of just objects with colliders on them. But once you hit them, they return into dynamic objects, and then you can kind of have colliders set up in the environment and have them interact with it. What I want to be able to do, like with this one, I want this, my natural reaction is to catch them. So I want to add in a catch mechanic. So if you knock an enemy back, and that's one of the bugs there is that essentially if you hit an enemy, sometimes it will bounce back in the wrong direction, or if it will essentially go so fast it effectively disappears. So I'm working on that. So I've done something recently with the bounce direction where I had to figure out what I changed, where it's not always going in the direction that I want it to. Some of that is this collider. So you can see most of the time it works perfect. Well, I'm going to say most of the time this particular level is not actually working great at all. But generally it works the way I want it to be. So I'm dealing with a bit of... Yeah, so if you kind of see, it's like... If the collider... What I think is happening is that with some of the latency is like as it's being the hand is being corrected, it's kind of snapping, and that's what's hitting it. So sometimes it doesn't go in the right direction. But I'm working on that. So it's like, again, if you do like that, that works fine. That works fine. And again, it's kind of like the more slow and the more deliberate your actions are, you know, it's a bit more accurate. But what I intend to do, once I kind of figure this out, what I want to do is project the direction that you're looking at with the direction that you're punching. I missed it. And then that way it's kind of a little bit like an aim assist, because there's a couple things that I need to work on. And this is kind of just like a flow of thoughts at this point, where I need to smooth out the motion of the hands, and that'll take care of some of this. Is when you're punching, the way your hand is moving is actually kind of, sometimes it's actually dropping, and in that case you kind of saw it snapped up, but sometimes it's dropping, and then with the latency in here, if I get it right. So if we do this, and so again, it works, but you kind of have to be very deliberate. In that case, you kind of saw it snap back. And this is with the predictive tracking on these hand anchors. So it seems like some days it's really good, where it's really accurate. And then other days I'm getting a lot of times where it's like, I don't know if it's like a lighting condition or something like that. And then again, this room is fairly bright. I'm getting some issues with the tracking, but I think this is most likely going to be like a math issue where I'm like, I'm doing something weird with the vectors that I shouldn't be, and it's causing some problems. But anyway, I'm kind of going back to it. I'm going to project the look direction with the direction of the punch, and kind of give you a bit of an aim assist. So if you do punch, and you're looking at, say I'm looking at the target, so instead of flying off in the direction of the punch, it'll fly more towards the target that you're looking at. So it's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to directly do a one-to-one point to that target. I'm going to basically project it a little bit over, so that it's more sort of, it gets you more in the ballpark. It doesn't do it for you. You still have to be kind of accurate with where you want to punch. I'm going to move this back over here. You have to be a little bit more accurate with where you want to punch, but it'll get you a little bit closer. One of the things that I did kind of run into when I was working on the portal movement code is because this is all happening within within a world which is a child of the root. I had to correct for the direction that everything, and this is after the correction for the directions to the nearest physics root. So anyway, this is a stream of thoughts at this point, so I'm probably just going to end this video. But yeah, so again, this is my very rushed recapture of what I've been working on. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, what I have now is I'm going to work on probably 5 environments per se. Yeah, if I tap there. And that's why that one's a bit too tall. It's like I can't see the wall behind it, so it's harder to anchor things to the wall if it's harder to anchor things to the wall if the portal's too large or too wide, like it is in this case. So again, I'm going to work on probably about 5 different environments, which will probably have, at this point, maybe 3 or 4 stages. Okay, so yeah, I think the first thing I need to work on is having the move portal behind a pause screen, so we're not actually doing that. In this case, this is just it's me in the act of closing my hand while it's moving. It's counting as a drag because there's an input component on that portal, and so it moves the entire environment. But at any rate, so I'm probably going to do about 5 environments with 3 to 5 levels apiece. Each environment will have a themed boss encounter, and we will go from there and see just how it's received, what I need to work on from there. So again, it's in fairly rough shape, but the infrastructure for the app is mostly in place. I'll probably do a test flight once I have the tutorial environment working, and that way I can kind of get this into the hands of people who may be interested in playing something like this, to see, how they feel about it. I've personally kind of been, like, as I'm doing here, like I've just been thinking about things or watching, like a YouTube video or something like that, and just punching UFOs, as I've been doing it. So I've been having a pretty fun time. Just kind of sitting here, just kind of like moving around and punching stuff. So it's for me, it's a nice little break, a nice little change of pace. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, y'all. Now I forgot how to turn this off.